They said the Force had never chosen anyone like him before, and they were right. Pause. Anakin Skywalker was always powerful. Everyone knew it. Qui-Gon knew it the moment he pressed that blood sample into his scanner on Tatooine. 20,000 midi-chlorians. The number didn't just break the record, it erased it. The Council whispered about it behind closed doors. Obi-Wan felt it every single day they trained together. Even Palpatine feared it. But knowing something is powerful, and actually seeing what it can do, those are two very different things. For years, Anakin carried that potential like a weight he wasn't allowed to lift. The Jedi told him to be calm, to be still, to suppress what burned inside him. And so, he did partially. He won battles. He saved lives. He became the greatest warrior of the Clone Wars. But he was still holding back. It happened during the Outer Rim sieges. A routine mission to Megiddo, nothing unusual on paper. Anakin and his men were pushing through a separatist stronghold when the ambush hit. Not droids. Something worse. A coordinated strike. 40 clone troopers. Gone in under a minute. Anakin watched them fall. And something unlocked. Not anger. Not the dark side pulling at the edges of his mind the way it usually did. Something deeper. Something older. Like the Force itself had been waiting patiently. Waiting for Anakin to stop running from what he was. The air changed. Every separatist in that facility stopped moving. Not from a command. Not from a weapon. They simply felt something standing in front of them that their programming had no answer for. Anakin raised his hand. Pause. And the entire structure reinforced durasteel, bunker walls 3 meters thick folded. Not collapsed, folded. Like the Force had simply decided it no longer needed to exist in that shape. His clone commander Rex stood at the entry point watching. He would later tell Ahsoka he couldn't find the words for what he saw. The closest he got was this. It wasn't like watching a Jedi fight, Commander Tano. It was like watching the Force. Remind everyone what it actually was. Back on Coruscant, the ripple was felt. Every Jedi in the temple paused mid-meditation, mid-conversation, mid-training drill, and looked up at the same moment. Master Yoda sat alone in his chamber for 3 hours after. When Ki-Adi-Mundi asked him what he sensed, the old master was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Begun, the Chosen One's true story has. Whether it ends in light or in fire, I cannot yet see." Word reached Palpatine within the hour. The Chancellor sat very still behind his desk. His advisors waited for a reaction, a smile, concern, anything. But Palpatine simply steepled his fingers and stared at the far wall, and for the first time in decades, the Sith Lord felt something he had almost forgotten: fear. Anakin had finally touched the edge of what he truly was. But power on that scale doesn't stay quiet for long. Back on Coruscant, Palpatine was already moving, recalculating, repositioning, tightening the web. And Anakin, still shaken by what he had done on Megiddo, was about to walk straight into the Chancellor's office for a private meeting, with no idea that the most dangerous man in the galaxy was now more afraid of him than ever. The meeting was Palpatine's idea. Of course it was. The Chancellor had called Anakin to his office dozens of times before. Private conversations, warm smiles, carefully placed words about the Jedi's failures, about Anakin's greatness, about the gap between what he deserved and what the Council gave him. It had always worked. Anakin always left those meetings feeling slightly more alone and slightly more dependent on the one man who seemed to truly understand him. That was the design. Pause. But this time was different. Anakin stepped into the Chancellor's office and stopped. Not because of anything he saw, not because of anything Palpatine said. He stopped because the Force, that same Force that had torn open a separatist bunker on Megiddo with a single breath, was now pressing against him like a warning signal he couldn't ignore. Something was wrong. Pause. Not wrong like a battlefield ambush. Wrong like a frequency just slightly off. Like a voice saying one thing while every nerve in your body hears something else entirely. Anakin stood in the doorway and felt the darkness radiating off the man behind that desk, not hidden, not masked, but blazing like a fire that only he could now see clearly. He had felt darkness before. He had felt it in battle, in loss, in his own worst moments. But this was ancient, calculated, patient. The kind of darkness that didn't burn hot, it burned cold. And it was sitting behind that desk, wearing a kind smile, and asking Anakin to come inside and take a seat. Anakin didn't move. "Something troubles you, my boy," Palpatine said. The warmth in his voice was perfect. It always was. But Anakin heard the current running underneath it now. The architecture of manipulation built into every syllable. Years of careful conversation suddenly replayed. In a single second, every nudge, every planted doubt, every whispered suggestion about the Jedi not trusting him, and the pattern was undeniable. "Who are you?" Anakin said quietly. Not an accusation. Not yet. A question asked by a man who already knew the answer and needed one moment, just one, to decide what to do with it. Palpatine's smile didn't waver, but his eyes did. Pause. Just for half a second. A flicker. The kind of micro-reaction that no ordinary person would ever catch. But Anakin wasn't ordinary anymore. He saw it the way you see a crack running through the foundation of a building, small on the surface, catastrophic underneath. The Chancellor stood slowly. "You've grown stronger," he said. The warmth was gone now. Something older and far colder had replaced it. "Stronger than I anticipated." "Tell me who you are," Anakin said again. "Tell me what you are, because I can feel it, all of it, right now." The room was completely still. Outside, Coruscant's traffic hummed on. Senate guards stood at their posts. The Republic continued its ordinary afternoon, completely unaware that in a single office, the entire carefully constructed plan of the Sith Lord, who had manipulated a galaxy for decades, was unraveling. Palpatine exhaled slowly, and when he looked at Anakin again, the mask was completely gone. No warmth, no grandfatherly concern. Just 2,000 years of Sith patience staring back at a young man who should have been broken by now. "Then you already know," Darth Sidious said. "Yes," Anakin replied, "and you came anyway." "I came to end it." Darth Sidious had survived everything the galaxy had thrown at him. He had outlasted empires, manipulated wars, and destroyed the Jedi from the inside out. But he had never faced Anakin Skywalker at full strength, and he had never been exposed before the trap was set. Now, with Order 66 not yet triggered, the clones still loyal, and the Senate still standing, the most dangerous Sith in history had only one move left. And it wasn't diplomacy. Anakin didn't call the council first. Pause. He thought about it. For exactly 3 seconds, standing in that corridor outside Palpatine's private office, he considered combing Mace Windu, laying out everything he had just felt, and doing this the proper way, the Jedi way. Then he remembered every time the Jedi way had been too slow, too cautious, too late. Pause. He moved through the Senate building like a current running through still water. Purposeful. Quiet. Not hiding. There was no point in hiding from a man who could feel him coming just as clearly as he could feel the man he was hunting. Senate guards stepped aside without being asked. Something in the way Anakin walked told them instinctively, wordlessly, that whatever was happening right now was above their pay grade. Palpatine was already in the Senate chamber, not seated at his podium. Standing at the center of the grand floor, robes still, hands folded, as if he had been waiting. And maybe he had. Even exposed, even rattled, Darth Sidious had not survived 2,000 years of Sith patience by panicking. He had a contingency. He always had a contingency. "You should have brought the council," Sidious said calmly. "Coming alone was arrogant, even for you." "I didn't want anyone else hurt," Anakin replied. That answer clearly wasn't what Sidious expected. He had prepared for rage, for desperation, for a young man swinging wildly with too much power, and not enough control, the version of Anakin that was always one bad day away from falling. That Anakin he could work with, that Anakin he could redirect. But this version was still. The duel began without ceremony. Sidious moved first, a burst of Force lightning so concentrated it would have carved through Duras steel. Anakin raised one hand and absorbed it, not deflected, not redirected. Absorbed, pulled it inward the way you catch a thrown object, and the chamber went completely silent. Even Sidious paused. What followed was unlike any duel in Jedi or Sith history. No wild swings, no screaming, no hate fueling the blade, Anakin fought with something that looked almost like sadness, clean, focused, inevitable. Every attack Sidious launched was met with an answer so precise it felt less like combat and more like a conversation being firmly ended. Sidious tried everything. Fear. He projected Padmé's face, her dying, her suffering, the image that had broken Anakin in every other timeline. Anakin felt it land. He felt the grief spike sharp and real in his chest. And he let it pass through him, like the Force had taught him to, not by suppressing it, but by carrying it without being consumed. Sidious tried rage next, taunts about the Jedi using him, about Padmé's secret, about the child she carried that Anakin didn't yet know the Council had begun to suspect. Each word placed like a knife between joints in armor. Anakin heard every word and kept walking forward. His final exchange lasted less than 30 seconds. Sidious unleashed everything raw, unbridled Sith power that would have leveled half the chamber. Anakin met it with the full weight of the Force moving through him rather than from him, and it was over. Darth Sidious, the most dangerous being in the galaxy, the architect of the Republic's destruction, the patient shadow behind 1,000 years of Sith, planning hit the Senate floor and did not get up. Not dead, but broken. Completely. Irreversibly. Anakin stood over him, breathing hard, not from exhaustion, but from the sheer weight of what had just happened. The chamber was empty, except for the two of them. Dust settling. The hum of the city outside, carrying on like nothing, had changed. But everything had changed. He reached for his comm. "Master Windu," he said quietly, "you need to come to the Senate chamber. Bring the Council. All of them." A pause on the other end. "Anakin? What happened?" "It's done," he said. "Sidious is down. Order 66 was never sent." Another long pause. "And the Chancellor?" Anakin looked down at the figure on the floor. The mask completely gone now, not just metaphorically. The face that the galaxy had known as a wise and gentle leader looked back at him with 2,000 years of cold fury behind failing eyes. "There is no Chancellor," Anakin said. "There never was. The Sith were finished. Order 66 was dead in the water. And for the first time in over a decade, the Clone Wars had no one left pulling the strings from the shadows. But wars don't end just because the architect falls. Millions of battle droids were still active across dozens of star systems. Separatist commanders still had standing orders. And the clone army, loyal, armed, and programmed, with a contingency that had nearly destroyed everything, was still waiting in the field. Anakin had won the battle no one even knew was being fought. Now came the harder part. Ending the war itself before the galaxy realized how close it had come to losing everything. The Separatist Council heard about Sidious within 6 hours. Pause. Not officially. There was no announcement, no Republic broadcast declaring the war over. But in the upper levels of the Confederacy's command structure, word traveled the way it always does when something catastrophic happens to powerful people quietly, quickly, and wrapped in panic. Count Dooku was already dead. Grievous was in the field with no new orders coming. And now, Sidious, the invisible hand behind every credit, every strategy, every carefully placed piece on the galactic board, was gone. Pause. The Separatist war machine didn't have a soul. It never did. It had a director, and without one, the cracks appeared almost immediately. Anakin saw them. Pause. The Council had wanted to move carefully. Formal negotiations, measured steps, proper Republic protocol for ending an intergalactic conflict. Mace Windu had already drafted a framework. Yoda was preparing diplomatic overtures to the neutral systems. Anakin listened to the entire briefing with his arms folded. Then he asked one question. Pause. "How many more clones die while we draft the paperwork?" Nobody answered. He was already walking toward the hangar. What followed over the next 7 days became one of the most studied military campaigns in galactic history, not because of its scale, but because of its precision. Anakin didn't chase the Separatist fleet. He didn't engage in prolonged ground campaigns or system-by-system pushes. He moved like someone who could feel exactly where the pressure points were, because he could. Raxus first, the Separatist Senate, the political heart of the Confederacy. Anakin arrived alone, no gunships, no clone escort, no dramatic entrance. He landed in the main plaza and asked to speak to whoever was still in charge. 3 senators came out expecting a trap. What they found instead was a single Jedi standing in the open with his lightsaber on his belt, and both hands visible. "This ends today," Anakin said simply. "Not because you lost, because there's nothing left worth fighting for. The man who built this war is gone. You were pieces in his game. So were we. He gave them a choice. Stand down and negotiate, or face what was coming. He didn't threaten. He didn't perform. He simply told them the truth and let the Force carry the weight of it. They stood down within the hour. Mustafar next, then Megiddo. Then the final Separatist holdouts scattered across the Outer Rim. Commanders still running on old orders, droid armies still active on planets that hadn't received the shutdown signal. Anakin moved through each location with Rex and a small strike force, dismantling command infrastructure so cleanly that most engagements ended before a single shot was fired. Not all of them. On Felucia, a Separatist general named Oro Dassine refused, dug in, fortified, declared he would fight to the last droid. He had 20,000 units and enough firepower to hold a small moon. Anakin arrived at his position at dawn. By midday, there were no more positions. On the 7th day, the last active Separatist battle group in the Outer Rim powered down. Droid armies across 14 systems went silent simultaneously, their central command network finally permanently offline. The Clone Wars were over. Not with a ceremony, not with a speech in the Senate, not with fireworks over Coruscant, just a quiet signal reaching the last active units on the edge of known space, and the sound of millions of droids powering down at once. Rex stood next to Anakin on the ridge of a scorched Outer Rim plateau, watching the last battalion go still below them. "That's it then," Rex said. "That's it," Anakin replied. A long silence stretched between them, the kind that only exists after something enormous has finally stopped. "What happens now, sir?" Anakin looked out across the plateau, at the deactivated machines below, at the smoke still rising from the last exchange 3 hours ago, at the unfamiliar, unsettling shape of a galaxy that no longer had a war filling its center. "Now," he said slowly, "we figure out what we were actually fighting for. The war was over. But peace, real peace, turned out to be its own kind of battlefield. Back on Coruscant, the Senate was in chaos. Half its members had been Palpatine's instruments and didn't even know it. The Jedi Council was fractured between relief and deep unease, because the man who had just ended the war in 7 days with almost no Republic losses was the same man they had spent years refusing to fully trust. And Anakin Skywalker was walking into that council chamber not as a soldier returning from the field, but as someone ready to finally have the conversation the Jedi had been avoiding for a very long time. He didn't wait to be summoned. Pause. That was the first thing the council noticed. Anakin Skywalker walked into the round chamber on his own timeline, on his own terms, and stood in the center of that familiar circle of seats without the posture of someone who had come to report. He had come to talk. Pause. The 12 seats were full. Masters who had watched him since childhood. Masters who had argued over him in closed sessions he was never supposed to know about. Masters who had sent him into the most dangerous situations the war produced and then questioned his judgment when he came back. Mace Windu spoke first. "Anakin, what you accomplished? I need you to hear me," Anakin said quietly. "Not debrief me, not evaluate me. Actually hear me. Can you do that?"